That pause was kind of refreshing. You know, you can take any subject and put it in past, present, future, and sort of look at it. And because I'm an architect developer, which is not the most common set of circumstances, I thought I'd kind of give you an idea of the way we think, how we got there, and what we think about in reference to not only tall buildings, but cities. And tall buildings, as important as they are really a part of a city. I opened my office at 29 years old in 1953. After struggling for 3 years trying to get a job other than a schoolroom addition or a little house, I came to the conclusion that since I had no track record, that rather than take the long way, I wanted to take the short way. So I wanted to figure out how to whip this system, and it came to the conclusion that before you build anything, somebody has to have a piece of property. And so that led me to real estate, and to try to understand real estate and understand how development projects were done. And so I became a developer in 1956. And the first development project major that I did, and I'm skipping so much here that it's kind of ridiculous, but if I stood up here and really told you, it would take all night. But my first development project was a 1 million square foot merchandise mart in Atlanta. And it was the largest project in the southeastern part of the United States. And it just so happened that it was going to open in the summer of '61. And Brasilia was being dedicated in April of 1961. So I thought, here Ctbuh had gone out in the middle of Brazil and cleared a site and built a whole new city with freeways out from Belém and São Paulo and Rio. And I wanted to go down and see how you build from scratch a city. And so I went. And it was quite an undertaking. But the thing that struck me the most was that it was not people-friendly. And I know that I love Rio, I love Brazil, so this is not, I'm just looking at it from trying to understand how you do such a big project and make it people-friendly. On the way back from that, back in those days we had prop planes. I mean we didn't have the jets like we do, and it took forever to get from Brasilia to Rio and back to Miami and back home. Well, this building that I was opening was such a major thing in the city of Atlanta that I came to the conclusion that I didn't want just anything happening up and down the street and across the way. And so I became interested in the city, moving from an isolated building in some place, but thinking in terms of the city, and thinking in terms of the city as a community for people. And people became my main concern. So from there, after coming back and making a master plan for Peachtree Center on land I didn't own. I decided that I would go and find out how these satellite cities and the kind of cities that were more related to the human being was done. And they had in Scandinavia, in Stockholm, some satellite cities, 2 satellite cities that I visited, Farsta and Vällingby, and then over to Helsinki, to Tapiola. And in Vällingby, they had the freeway come in, they had the train come in underneath, they built the plaza over, they built a little village on top, and they had pedestrian bridges going over into housing, and standing there in the plaza, I noticed a woman pushing a baby carriage across the bridge, coming over to the community center to buy her groceries. That was an epiphany. And then it hit me that really what architecture is all about, what development's all about, what building's all about, whether they're short or tall, is really about people. And I began trying to understand how people respond to environmental circumstances and how you could make things happen and put them together in such a way that it was a greater contribution than the building itself. The current momentum surrounding tall buildings is mostly about the thing itself. There's nothing wrong with that, because I'm very interested in that. But the thing is a form, and it has a structure, and it has a function. And we can build it. That's not the question. But can we make it a living community? Can we make it function? Yes. But it takes more than function to make a life. The social aspects and needs of human beings at the life level must always be part of our concern, if not our major concern. We have a society today that is moving very rapidly into what I call the barbell society. We have the older, people getting older like me. Just that part of the population is getting bigger. The younger people are getting married much later, if at all, and having very few children, if any. So the part that really kind of created our city, the in-between thing that happened after World War II, when everyone was able to get a car and run to the suburbs and sort of fragment our cities and spread them, that portion of our society is shrinking. People are coming back to the city. Cities are going to become more densified. There's a lot of reasons for that, energy being one of the main ones. But this population is the same. The people, as they get older, they don't want to be out by themselves after the kids are gone and they're out there and they have to call some nephew or somebody to come and drive them someplace. They want to have access. They want to have a life. They don't want to be isolated. And this country is becoming more isolated as a society. Technology has a lot to do with that. People don't community event as much as they used to. But it's still there. And I came with an idea of what I'd call a coordinate unit. I said, you know, how far would someone walk before they think of wheels? And we analyzed it, and in this country, they'll walk from 7 to 10 minutes before they're looking for some kind of wheels. We have to move from one place to the next to do the most simple things. We don't walk to the corner drugstore. We don't walk like the lady did to get her groceries. We don't walk anywhere. This country is completely dependent on wheels. And the energy that takes is unbelievable. So with the society moving back, it gives us an opportunity to create a new kind of environment, one that is sustainable, not only for the buildings, but for the people. So this is the kind of things that I think about. As a developer, I have to think, any developer, well, I'll tell you, a thing that brings a lot of realism into your life is when you have to go down to the bank and sign the back of the note. Things get serious. And in this business, you want imagination, you want everything in that side, but you gotta have the pragmatics, and it's yin and yang. The imagination and the pragmatics have to come together, and if they come together, they will be economically sound, and in most cases, they will be very, very successful. Now, I think I had a whole bunch of slides that I was going to show you guys, but I don't know, I hate slides. But I am going to have one slide and one little 2-minute video. The one slide I want to show is the 151 Tower in Songdo, which we're working very hard to try to take this most significant building in Korea. The mayor of Songdo wanted a building 151 stories. He wanted it to be very practical. He wanted it to work. He wanted it to be an icon. He wanted something that when people saw it, they would think of Korea. But at the same time, he wanted it to work and to be functionally efficient and be economically sound, and to think about the future and the message that he wanted to send with that building about Korea. And that was the marriage and the ultimate unification of Korea. So taking all of that and realizing that we had to build a vertical community, and to take this and think about how people will live in this. What are they going to do? How are they going to, what kind of environment, what kind of experience? How can we enhance their life, not just store them on some floor up in the sky? So I'm a people person. I think everything we do should serve people and not the other way around. And I'd like to show you a little, I could spend an hour talking about this one, but I want to show you a little video which I call Perseverance, and it's a little 2-minute video about the development of Peachtree Center over 19 city blocks, over 50 years, over 19 million square feet. Would you run that, please? in 1959, when we started construction on the Merchandise Mart, which I mentioned, and there it is. And I'm going to be quiet and just let you see how this thing unfolded and the time frames and so forth and so on. And I call it perseverance because having a master plan and trying to think in terms of a city and trying to think in terms of people and trying to make something that can be lasting and worthy, that's all part of it. And so here she goes. There it is today. This whole development was done without one penny of government help. This is a private enterprise, urban renewal, or really what I call urban making project. Thank you very much.